Hey everyone, I am Dr. Shell and I'm pleased to be guiding you through adult development. I'm a developmental psychologist and this is certainly one of my favorite classes to teach. I'm going to start by giving you a little orientation to what our Moodle page looks like and what our class will entail and to get you started on the right track. So this is what our Moodle page looks like. It's organized by section, but this first section has general information and covers all the basics of everything you need to go through the course. And so you'll want to check back with this frequently. If you have any questions, in addition to my contact information, here I've got a forum for question and answers among students. And so I encourage you to use this, ask and answer questions here, and I'll give you extra credit for participating either by asking or answering questions. After that, everything is organized by week and we'll cover 2 topics per week. In general, we're going to start with emerging adulthood, and then the second half of the block will cover older adulthood. So back to our general information, the syllabus is going to be very important, and I want to make sure that you read it carefully. I'd also encourage you to print out or save a copy and be sure that you have it on hand. So this is what our syllabus looks like. I have my contact information here. Email is the best way to contact me, and I'll respond to emails during the week within 24 hours. Be aware that I don't respond to emails on weekends or outside of business hours, so please make sure to look at all of the assignments and start doing the work ahead of time so you have time to contact me if you have questions. I also will have office hours via Zoom, and I'm willing to meet outside of them if you'll just email me your availability. The syllabus also has our course descriptions and course goals, really to look at development after age 18. And so we'll cover a lot of topics, including social relationships, work, finances, and things like that. Let's see, we have a textbook that will guide us. The textbook is really only for the emerging adult section. So there's also a lot of additional readings that you can find on Moodle. However, the textbook is also going to be essential. This class is entirely online, so it is important that you have access to the internet. You also need your iPad or some other device to connect. Note that I recommend using an internet browser for Moodle, not the Moodle app, because it has a number of accessibility issues. I've got information here on how to connect with me via email and Zoom. And I also will be using the Remind app for this class, so I strongly suggest you sign up for the reminders through that. I also recommend getting Microsoft Office. If you don't have it already, you have access to free copies of it. Now, you may have already discovered that, but remember that in a typical face-to-face full semester course, you'd spend 3 hours a week in class, plus at least an hour out of class for each hour that you spend in class doing things like reading, assignments, or prep work. This works out to about 90 hours on the class over the course of the semester. During this condensed session, we're cramming those 90 hours into 70 weeks. That means that you should plan to spend about 10 to 12 hours per week on the course. In order to succeed in this online format, you need to be sure to do several things. So stay on top of the material, read the readings and the notes and do those things early and often, watch the videos, things like that. Make sure to do the assignments. They're designed to help you understand the material, so doing them will benefit you and also benefit your grade. And finally, ask questions. Ask me questions earlier. If you have last-minute questions, you can try the help forum. In terms of course evaluation, we'll talk about the syllabus quiz, which is required just in the first week. And then 45% of your grade is assignments, most of which are discussion forums. You'll need to post an initial response to the discussion questions for the week by Sunday at 11:55. This will give your peers time to read and respond to it. Your forum post should be about 250 to 400 words, which is about 1 to 2 pages double spaced. And many of the prompts have multiple questions, so make sure you answer them all. I would really encourage you to draft your initial responses in Microsoft Word or something similar to be sure you've met the requirements and to give you time to thoroughly proofread and avoid potential lost posts if your internet goes out when you're trying to post or something like that. Then by Tuesday at 11:55 p.m., you'll need to respond to at least 2 classmates' posts. So these should be substantive responses that keep the conversation going and move it forward, not just, I agree. Late posts are not accepted, and the grading rubric is listed here. Next, each week, scrolling issues here, okay. Next, each week we'll have some readings in our videos that you're expected to look at and reflect on in order to confirm that you have read. So each week you will have what I'm calling an RSVP assignment, which is worth 25% of your grades in total. So this assignment should include a response to the material. So this is your reaction to the information presented. Did anything surprise you? Was something hard to understand? It should include a summary in your own words of the key points presented in the week's material. It should include at least one new vocabulary term. And then you should pose a question. This is something that you want clarification on or want to follow up with. And so there's a grading rubric for these RSVP assignments. It is posted on Moodle right here. You'll do these each week. They'll be due on Tuesdays at 11:55 p.m. In the designated, it's a journal format is what Moodle calls it. So make sure you do these. Everything should be in full sentences, but you should bullet point them and label the RSVP components separately. So I'd expect probably maybe about a paragraph each for that. And the goal is to just prove that you have read the assignments. Okay, finally, 30% of your grade will be 3 essay tests, so they're worth 10% each. These tests will require you to synthesize reading, lecture, and class discussion material into a 2 to 3 page paper and use evidence from course readings to support a thesis. The test questions will become visible to you a week before the due date, and the tests need to be submitted the following Tuesday at 11:55 p.m. And there will be grading rubrics posted for these as well. Finally, I've got some expectations and course policies, so make sure to come back to this and read it over carefully. Going back to our Moodle page, the second important document is the course schedule. It looks like this. And I've got it broken down by week. It basically parallels what's on Moodle. This tells you what you need to do each week, and I encourage you to print it off and check things off when they're finished. So for the first week, I've got the Introduce Yourself forum and the syllabus quiz to start with to make sure that you understand the course material. So once you do these things, check them off. And then we'll jump right into the Introduction to Emerging Adulthood. And if we go back and look at our Moodle page, we can just see that it parallels that. So here's our syllabus and our introduction assignment. You have 1 required reading and 1 optional reading. But they're both from the textbook. You've got another required reading, external reading here, a video that provides kind of a slightly different perspective, and a video lecture from me. And your assignment for the week is to interview an emerging adult. Please do this virtually. There's no need for anyone to expose themselves unnecessarily to COVID. Virtually over Zoom, over the phone is perfectly fine and preferred. But basically your goal is to find out where they stand based on how the readings describe emerging adulthood. Chapter 2 from Arnett is a good example of kind of what I'm looking for. So you're going to report back on what you found in your posts. You're going to post that on Sunday. And then for your responses, you should comment on some common themes that you noticed reading your classmates' interviews. So your responses are due on Tuesday. Remember that your initial discussion forum posts, so this week there are 2, the Introduce Yourself and the Interviewing an Emerging Adult. Those are both due on Sundays. Everything else is due on Tuesday night. And then you have your RSVP assignment, which is listed right here. And so that's where you'll go in and post full sentences with your response, your summary, the vocabulary term, and the posing a new question. And that's the basic structure of the class. If you have any questions, please contact me via email, and I look forward to hearing from you and reading your introductions on the Introduce Yourself forum. I also just want to note that I realize that we're living in very strange and unprecedented times. So if you're sick or you're caring for someone who's sick or you're affected by the pandemic in some way, please talk to me about how to make accommodations, and I'm willing and happy to work with you.